All right, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. How's it going? Now you have to look at the camera too.
Yeah, this is a lot going on. I've never done a podcast where you have to
look at the video too.
Look at it.
I am a podcast novice. Sydney is
I've
a seasoned
done a few
podcaster.
here and there to keep me entertained.
And now we need entertainment more than ever.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Speaking of entertainment, we've been watching Glee. Well, we've only watched one episode.
I did watch it 3 times.
Sydney watched it 3 times so she could take avid notes. I only watched it once, and I took notes and paused while I watched.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to our podcast, and that's what you missed on Glee.
I'm very excited. If you haven't listened to our little intro episode, you should definitely do that because it explains how I came up with the idea.
I'm Sydney.
I'm Charley. We're sisters.
Let's dive in.
And okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the first episode of Glee, which is the pilot episode of season 1. And I want to give a little background information on Glee for those who aren't actually watching it along with us, which we highly recommend you watch along with us. But for those of you who don't know, Glee is an American musical comedy drama television series that aired on the Fox network in the United States from May 19th, 2009. We were 9 and 11 when this came out.
Yeah, that is true.
To March 20th, 2015. It ended before I graduated high school.
Yes, that is true.
It centers on the fictional William McKinley High School, the New Directions Glee Club, which is a show choir, and that's pretty much the wiki definition.
Yeah. I'd also like to say that when this came out, we weren't allowed to watch it.
We were not allowed to watch it. Our aunt Tika watched it.
She was obsessed with it.
And because she is in drama and
shows and show choir.
So we would go over to her house and see it. And the first time I ever remember watching any Glee was, this is later in the show, so we don't want to talk about it too much, but it's when they're singing like the Halo mashup and they're all wearing yellow and they're all like on Adderall.
That's right.
And that's the first time I remember watching it. And I didn't realize they were on drugs because I was like 11. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, they have a lot of energy.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting because I watched it probably when I was like 10 or 11. I bought like a Kindle Fire and I watched it on Netflix.
I was 13, I think. I was in 7th grade, so 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And I would watch it every time I was left home alone because we weren't allowed to watch it.
I'd also do that. I'd watch it when
I'd watch it on the desktop computer.
Desktop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and so because like we weren't really allowed to watch it when we were younger, I didn't really fully watch it until I was 13 and I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
And I had like a full-on Rachel Berry phase.
She put stars next to her name.
I put stars next to my name.
When she signed her name.
Yeah, I would also just like in the middle of like lunch period, my friends would be like, hey, that one song from Glee, and I'd be like, let's sing it, and they'd be like, cool, and they would just sit and watch me sing Glee.
Yes, we really loved Glee, like early high
school.
To an
embarrassing level.
But we also have not watched it in 7 years.
I haven't watched it in about 7 years.
So, yesterday was our first time rewatching the show since
And it's so problematic.
It's very problematic, which is amazing. Because TikTok has been featuring a lot of Glee stuff lately.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think, what my subconscious had when I had that dream.
For sure.
So, because for those who did not listen to our intro, I had a dream that we started this podcast together. And I told Sydney about it. Really worried she wasn't going to think it was funny. Because I really care about what Sydney thinks of my jokes.
I think this idea is hilarious.
And she laughed so hard she almost fell on the ground that I was
It's just a very like specific.
Yes. Oh, and also our title comes from the recap at the beginning of every episode.
Yeah. Where
that guy would recap the last episode and then they'd say, and that's what you missed on Glee.
And then like the bell would ring and stuff.
And it's great. So, also we also are going to do our best song, worst song of the episode. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do that at the beginning or at the end?
I think we should do it at the end. I think we should discuss like...
I think we should do our top tier though at the beginning.
No, we should definitely do that at the end.
But I feel like if it's like setting up an essay, you got to like say what you're going to say.
I think we should say everything and then have that be our conclusion.
Okay. Are we going to try to agree?
At the end, I think we should try and agree on how
we're talking about it, but we haven't explained what we're doing. So we also love Dance Moms. Or we used to love
I've actually never watched Dance Moms.
My mom and I used to love Dance Moms. And so we've created, like, the pyramid that they had on Dance Moms, and we're going to rank all of the members of the New Directions Glee Club. So our rules for that is they have to be actually in the Glee Club, like no teachers and no one outside of the school, unless, you know, when we get Blaine in there, we want to throw Blaine up.
Oh, of course Blaine will be included.
Will be on the tier.
But he does eventually become part of the New Directions.
Yes, but are we going to include him on the tier before he joins New Directions? I don't
think we should. I don't think that's fair.
These are things we need to discuss. But
well, the idea is that we're ranking the people in the Glee Club. So why would we rank someone that's not in the Glee Club?
That's true.
Okay. So the way I would like to say for people that are watching it on camera,
yes,
I've taken a lot of notes. I have about 4 pages front and back.
I have about 3, but my notebook is half size. I have a lot in my brain.
I took notes while I was watching it, so it's in chronological order. So I think we should talk about the episode chronologically.
Okay.
And then I have a few discussion points I want to talk about, and we'll talk about them as they come up. Yeah. And then at the end, we'll do the ranking of the songs.
Yeah.
The worst Will Schuester moment from the episode. And
I think we should also start a tally of how many times we think Will Schuester should have been fired.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Because he absolutely should have been like 15 minutes into the show.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do our pyramid.
We'll do our pyramid at the end.
Perfect. Okay. So, this is season 1, episode 1.
Pilot
episode. I want to start off by saying the cheer team is great.
Cheerios are amazing. Also, their name is so good.
Cheerios, that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever heard.
It is. Their outfits are also like the best cheerleading outfits on TV. They're so good. And also, I hated them. I hated them so much.
I wanted to be one so badly.
I hated them because they were like, they were the opposite of the New Directions. They were like, what's the word I'm looking for? The competition.
Yeah, for sure. But
so I hated them.
But the Cheerios were also incredible because, you know, they were before they became part of the Cheerios. Mm-hmm. They were like essentially just as much of like ragtags as the New Directions.
True.
And people will be like, no, because they were popular before. And no, they got popular from being on the Cheerios. Uh-huh. And the reason that they're so stuck up and like self-confident is because of Sue.
Yeah. Well, also, this doesn't happen in the first episode, so like spoiler for future episodes if you care. But like the same way that the New Directions have like misfits and stuff. I don't want to say Becky is necessarily misfit, but she's treated as one at the school. Yeah. And she's totally accepted in Cheerios and stuff. So
and she's Sue's favorite.
So it's very similar to the New Directions, and I don't think people give it enough credit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first note is that Sue is actually not the villain, because I always treated her as the villain, but I
always love Sue because I feel like I'm her.
I always got uncomfortable watching Sue because she was always trying to tear down the New Directions, right? And I was also, I don't want to like scar anyone, but I was in love with Will Schuester. I was like, that was what I thought my future husband was going to lead.
I think he looks like a Muppet.
I really thought that like I was going to marry someone who was like Will Schuester one day.
You may. Like, who knows? You're not engaged yet.
So...
Oh, okay. So here's what I'm going off of Will Schuester. They next show Will Schuester pulling up in his like beat up car, coming out with some glasses on, looking fly as fuck. Mm-hmm. And Kurt is standing next to a dumpster with a bunch of the football players that bully him.
Yes.
And Will Schuester says, "Hey, Kurt, did you make some new friends?" So I'd like to start off by saying Will Schuester is a dumbass because Kurt looks terrified. Obviously, those are not his friends. And then Puck, who's one of the football players, says, "Oh, Will Schuester, you know it." Mm-hmm. And it's obvious that they weren't friends.
Yeah. So Will is the high super oblivious.
Super old.
Yes. Okay. Also, fun fact. Did you know that the actors who played Rachel Berry and the actor who played Will Schuester dated for like multiple seasons?
That's very weird.
Uh-huh.
So anyways...
yeah, a lot of the actors who play the high schoolers are the same age as the teacher.
Yeah,
which makes sense for some things, for like legal reasons for shooting it. Like, there's a whole scene with Finn in the shower where Will walks in on him. And that would just be so uncomfortable if they had an actual 15-year-old playing Finn.
For sure.
Can you imagine? And like, if he was
we're not
actually
getting
15.
there yet. We're not getting there yet.
I just have a lot of issues.
So, and then I want to start off, or continue kind of with the starting of the episode. I think Finn is great. I realize
Finn.
that he bullied, but I do also agree that he has some issues. And
he grows.
He grows a lot, but also he shows potential for that growth at the very beginning, because right before they throw Kurt into the dumpster, he says, and I quote, "Don't throw me into the dumpster. This is Marc Jacobs' new collection." And then Finn allows him to take off the Marc Jacobs new collection, and he holds it while he's thrown into the dumpster.
He's sweet.
And then it
He's
shows
a nice
like
bully.
a sign of like remorse. I mean, I don't really think a nice
well,
bully
and
is
it's
a thing.
foreshadowing to their future relationship.
That's true. But we're not getting into that yet.
Okay. I would like to talk about, I forget what her last name is. Emma something.
We'll just call
Pillsbury.
her Emma.
Emma Pillsbury.
Oh, of course it's Pillsbury.
Okay, so I also loved Emma when I was a teenager because she ends up with Will, right? Okay, I have a couple notes on Emma. First of all, they definitely make fun of her OCD throughout the entire show.
They totally do.
Which
also, she
pisses me
hasn't
off.
come up yet in the episode. I'm not there yet.
Oh, but I really want to talk about Emma.
They show the old coach, the old Glee club coach, working with someone, and then they pan to Rachel Berry, and Rachel Berry is furious because she wanted the solo that this guy was given. So she reports the old Glee club coach,
saying that he molested the student.
Yeah. And that's how he gets fired. And then
so she falsely accuses.
Yeah, because she wanted the solo.
I didn't even recognize that. I knew he got fired.
They kind of glance over it.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, which is very interesting. Definitely
well,
something that like younger kids wouldn't pick up on.
2009.
Yeah. We both just took drinks.
Yeah, coffee break.
Sips of our drinks, so that's why there was pause there.
I put horchata in my coffee, and I would just like everyone to know that that is a really wonderful choice.
Okay, and then so they show the guy from the old Glee club that Rachel like accused for getting molested. He doesn't try to audition for.
He doesn't come back.
He doesn't try to audition for New Directions, and if he does try to audition, they don't show it. But if he was good enough to get the solo that Rachel didn't get, then he would have gotten into New Directions.
You've got some hot takes.
I think that Rachel Berry like totally fucked up this guy's future.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, then they show Will going into the teacher's lounge.
Now we get into Emma. Okay, so here's what I have to say.
No, I'm not there yet. They start off this scene with Will Schuester and the football coach Ken talking about how there was budget cuts because the Cheerios went $600 over budget, and so they no longer have a coffee pot. They still have the coffee machine. This is a big issue to me. This bothered me every single time that I watched it. Because they wouldn't have just gotten rid of the coffee pot. They wouldn't have just gotten rid of the coffee pot. They would have just kept the coffee pot but never had coffee.
Yeah.
And that really bothered me.
But also, like, with that same logic from the show, did they sell the coffee pot to make, like, $2?
No, I don't think so. I think they just got rid of the coffee pot because they didn't want people to, like, be making coffee. But it's like, they could have kept the coffee pot and people could have brought in their own coffee. But then, Sue, captain of the Cheerios, she's the Lord and Savior. She comes in and she brings lattes for everybody.
She's very kind.
She is, and she's like, I'm sorry the Cheerios went $600 over budget.
Yeah.
Here you go. And then, here's where we get into Emma. First off, I don't like this bitch. Because she says, since when are cheerleaders performers?
Okay, I disagree with that. But so I think that there's been a lot of like growth with love for cheerleaders in the past 10 years because, okay, reminder, this was done 11 years ago, this first season.
And here's the thing. Cheerleaders were always seen as performers, but they were never seen as a sport.
And athletes, yeah.
And so what I love about the show is that they show them as athletes and not just as performers.
True.
So the fact when she was like, since when are cheerleaders performers? I was like, what the fuck? And then later Will goes to see Sue and he says that the Cheerios are some of the best performers. So it's just super, super contradictory, and I don't see why Emma would say that if she's trying to get into Will's pants.
That's true. Speaking of Emma wanting to get into Will's pants, we find it so creepy that Ken, the gym teacher, or the football coach, is pining over Emma the entire time, but Emma's doing the exact same thing to Will. The exact same thing. Like, there's even a specific scene in the show where Ken is looking at Emma is looking at Will in the exact same way. And the only reason we find it endearing when Emma does it is because she's pretty.
She's also a little bit less aggressive than Ken is.
Yes. But I was telling Sydney this earlier. If Emma wasn't conventionally attractive, we would find it creepy.
Yeah, that's true.
But because she's conventionally attractive, we don't find it creepy.
I'd like to bounce back to a point that I missed about the
you were
Cheerios.
Going, like, full class debate on this.
Yes, that's how I pictured that this podcast would go.
I imagined it more laid back, but...
Oh, definitely not my vibe. So, the Cheerios went $600 over budget. Why don't they do their own fundraising?
They could make some serious money.
I think later they do, like, bikini car washes. They should have started that from the fucking beginning. They wouldn't have even needed to go $600 over budget. They would have had, like, an infinite budget.
I would literally pay $600 for Santana to wash my car.
Same here. I would pay so much money. I would give her all my car insurance to have her wash my car. I'm serious.
Okay, let's see.
Okay,
so we get to the auditions.
Oh, no. I want to say back to when we were talking about Ken hitting on Emma.
Oh, okay.
I have a little section about that. Ken, the coach, the gross guy, he says, "Hey, Emma, missed you at the singles mixer." That's a really weird thing to say to someone when you're, like, in a teacher's lounge. Now, keep in mind, I've never been in a teacher's lounge.
I have, and I would like to say that is a weird thing to say.
That's a weird-ass thing to say. And then she says, "Oh, well, I don't really like it. It feels like a meat market. But I did give my phone number to a firefighter, but he hasn't called me back yet."
Yeah.
That's also a really weird thing to say when you're sitting looking at two grown-ass men. And then...
I think she's just trying to get Will jealous.
Yeah. But then
Will is married.
Yeah, and he says, "Don't worry about it, Emma. There's someone out there for everybody."
He's full-ass married to a woman he's trying to have a baby with. But we'll talk about Terry later.
Yeah.
Because Terry, we have a lot to say about Terry.
Yeah, so then Emma brings up the fact that the old Glee Club coach, that's so hard to say, the old Glee Club coach was fired. And Will's first thing he says is, "Who's going to take over Glee Club?"
Not why.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be talked about all over the school.
Yeah.
There's so much drama in teachers' lounges.
Yeah, but he's just like, "No, who's going to take over Glee Club?" Then it immediately shows him talking to the principal, saying, "I want to take over Glee Club." And the principal says, "Well, it's going to cost you $60. That's a month. That's how much it takes to keep the Glee Club in check."
And Will's like,
"What are they spending that money on?" If he says
I feel like
they
it's
already...
transportation.
Oh, really? That's it?
Probably to, like, do the activities and stuff they have to do. Because for clubs and stuff, you have to, like... think about how much it would cost to, like, get a bus to drive a couple hours away.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Because they probably, like... Even though the kids will probably have to pay a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they show Will in bed with his wife.
Yeah.
Not, like, having sex, but just, like, sleeping.
And he comes up with a name.
He says, or...
Yes,
$60 a month. That's going to be hard for me to keep from my wife. Why? First of all, why is it, "Oh, I have to keep it for my wife"? And then later you meet his wife and you're like, "Oh, that's the fuck why."
Yeah. It's because she spends all of the money.
Yeah.
At Pottery Barn.
Which I have a thing about later, so we'll talk about that. But then he's like, "Well, even a bigger worry, how am I going to keep these kids motivated? We need a new name." And he sits up in bed, looks real stupid, and says, "New Directions." That's a stupid ass motherfucking name. I hate that
You
name.
hate New Directions?
I think New Directions is so stupid.
And did that come out before One Direction?
I don't know. Why don't we fact check that?
Okay, because this was 2009. You have to imagine that they wrote it a year prior.
Yeah. I think it's a really stupid name.
Well, what would you name it?
I don't know. I'm not into Glee Club, so I don't really know.
Okay, so the band One Direction was formed in 2010. So New Directions came out before One Direction.
That's really weird.
Okay,
that makes me hate it a little bit less. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay,
but anyway, I still think it's stupid. Now we're at the auditions.
Okay, you've been going on a monologue. Can I throw some tidbits in? Okay, so with the auditions, I hate Mr. Cellophane.
That song sucks.
It sucks, and
it did nothing for his vocals.
Kurt doesn't sound good in it. Like, no. I skipped over the part because it was that bad. Like, yeah. I really hated it.
Mercedes
slaps.
Fucking slapped. You know what I'm really upset about, though, about the auditions?
What?
They didn't show Artie's.
I love Artie. Watching it again,
so much.
I would do anything for him.
His voice was incredible.
I just think about
Sit Down Rocking the Boat.
I have thoughts about Sit Down Rocking the Boat. But also, all I can think about is one of my favorite parts about Artie is him singing Pony, like, later in the show.
Yeah, but we're not getting... We're just talking about pilot. I don't want to do any foreshadowing or anything. And then once we get to those episodes, then we can talk back about them.
It's so good. I love Artie. I feel like...
Artie's great. I think he's really underrated. I
would totally date Artie in a heartbeat.
Same.
Okay, so I have some more thoughts about the auditions.
I do too. Mine's about Rachel.
Go ahead.
It's not particularly about her audition, so why don't you go first, and then I'll say my thing after.
Okay, well, the main thing that I wanted to say was about Kurt, and that I really didn't like his Mr. Cellophane thing. He could have done so well with, like, a ballad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about music and stuff, but I definitely think, like, they threw him a curveball with that, just because they wanted him to sound super quirky, and they wanted it to be, like, show-tuney for him. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Kurt doesn't get enough airtime in the first episode, and he's kind of, like, discarded as, like, the obvious queer person in the room, right? Tina's audition was not good. She could have done so much better.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, why is she not a lesbian on the show?
I don't know, but it really does piss me off.
Because I think that...
Was she, like, bi at all? I feel
if it was, it's not mentioned.
I feel like it might be, like... insinuated.
Maybe, I don't know. But also, when she signs up for auditions because she has a stutter, she writes like 6 T's before she writes her name. So she has like a handwritten stutter too.
That's very interesting. I don't know if that's something to laugh at because I don't know if that's a thing.
It's not a thing.
I don't. Well, also like later, her stutter like completely goes away when she's like confident.
No.
Right?
No. Okay, spoiler. She's faking her stutter the entire time to get attention.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So she's...
Because her and Artie are dating later, and then he's like, you understand me because, like, you're an outcast for your stutter, and I'm an outcast for being in my wheelchair. She's like, I have something to tell you. I've been faking it the whole time for attention. Yeah. And then they break up. Sorry, that was a spoiler, but
that was a big spoiler. I forgot about that. Interesting. Okay.
So I just thought it was so funny because I remember her faking it, and then I see her write like 6 T's before her name, and I just like bursted out laughing because I know quite a few people who have had stutters. Not one of them has ever also like had a writing stutter too.
That's very peculiar. Something.
You wanna talk about Rachel now?
In a second. I really like how Tina wears a bunch of chains because she's essentially like a 2009 e-girl.
She is a 2009 e-girl.
And I just think that's a vibe. Now I'd like to talk about Rachel. Her audition, great. That was to be expected.
Yes. I'd like to talk about Rachel not knowing which one of her dads is actually her dad because it's very obvious. Yeah. She has a Jewish dad and a black dad.
Yeah. She's
obviously Jewish.
I'd also like to bring up the question. I get that they're kind of like in the middle of nowhere.
They're in the middle of Ohio.
Yeah, exactly, the middle of nowhere. But later they talk about art schools, and there's art schools nearby because they go to some of them and like visit them. Yeah. Why the fuck is Rachel not at an art school?
Because the other school that they visit and stuff, they're like 2 hours away.
Okay, here's the thing. They spend so much fucking money on all of her extracurriculars, and
she should be going to an art school.
She should be going to an art school. She spends so much time and their family spends so much money on these extracurriculars. They would be covered by some of that they would be covered in that school that she'd be going to, and it would just be considered tuition, which she could probably get scholarships for because she's so talented.
True.
So art school would be cheaper. And her parents obviously are so dedicated to her, they would move closer to an art school for her to go to one. Yeah. So I just don't get why the fuck she's not at an art school.
Whoa, your energy is like out of this world.
I'm really dedicated to this.
So here's my question though, because if I was in Rachel's situation, I would so much rather be the best like vocalist in a school of like misfits than be like competing for another one. Because like maybe do you think she just wants to be the best, or do you think she actually wants to improve? I feel like she just wants to be the best, because every time she gets notes on stuff, she shuts them down and is like, I'm the best in here.
That's very true.
So maybe she just wants to be the best in Glee Club at that school because it's easier than being the best in another school.
I didn't think about that, but she's so like, competitive.
Because that's like, I don't know how competitive she actually is. I think she just wants to be the best, because I think like with me, I don't like hearing when I've done something wrong, because I want to do things my own way, like you always say. So that's what I see in her. It's like she doesn't want to accept notes because then she has to admit that she has to improve, you know?
I don't know. I think
that's how I always saw her.
I think if her passion was real, she would be going to an art school. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, oh, and then
well, who else auditioned? Was that it? Why did they not show Artie's audition? I have a lot of problems with that.
Bullshit. So then they show the Misfits singing Sit Down Rocking the Boat.
I would like to also, at this point, remind you that they are all sophomores. They are all 15 years old.
Yes. 15.
Also, why is Artie the lead in Sit Down Rocking the Boat? That makes me uncomfortable.
I think because Artie himself was aware of the fact that it was ironic, that there was no issue with that.
That's true. He did mention it was ironic.
I think it's hilarious, and I also think it provided a lot of visual symmetry.
That's true.
Because of the heights.
That makes sense.
And
he also has a killer voice.
He has a killer voice, and he sang it really well.
He did sing it really well.
However,
Rachel pushing him off of the
that's later.
No, it happens there too. She pushes him away. I've marked it. She pushes him twice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I know that she did it when they're singing the next song, which is You're the One That I Want. Mm-hmm. She does it then. I didn't notice her doing it then.
Well, that's not a stage, but she pushes him away from the group.
Okay, so I noticed that she did like a little like spin off of his chair. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I noticed Rachel Berry pushed her hair out of her face during a performance. You never do that.
Is that a thing?
That is a big thing. If there's hair on your face, if you have an itch, or if you like your strap is falling down, you do not touch it when you are performing, because it shows that you're unprofessional. So I'd like to point out that Rachel Berry is unprofessional.
Unprofessional or unprofessional?
Rachel Berry is unprofessional. Unprofessional. I put a negative at the beginning.
So there is something that Principal Figgins says at one point, and we didn't mention it yet, and I think that it already happened, but I would like to say Mr. Schu's talking about like he's doing all of this for the New Directions, and he's like wants to do it for the kids, and Principal Figgins says, you're doing this for 5 kids and one of them is a cripple, like are you sure you want to do it? Artie is a whole ass person. Yeah. Like, they count him as like a half person a lot through the first episode, at least from what I've seen so far.
So they say that after Will says that they need the auditorium, but Figgins wants to use it for Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yes.
So that's in a little bit.
Okay.
And
Cindy watched this 3 times as a reminder, so she is a little more familiar. I guess I should watch it multiple times. I have a lot of
opinions about it as well. I'm very just an opiniated person.
Yeah. Maybe you should I'm afraid people are gonna I'm getting anxious listening to you talk because you're talking so like passionately.
That's how this podcast's supposed to be.
I didn't see
it's not like a calm like, hey, I mean, and that's what you missed on Glee. It's like, here's the fuck what you missed on Glee.
That's not how my dream went.
Oh, okay. Well, bummer, you didn't make that very clear to me.
I didn't think I needed to. I thought that I just like exuded some more chill vibes.
Well, I guess maybe the next one will be more chill. But no, that doesn't sound fun to me. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna like...
You're the high energy, I'm the lower energy, but you gotta give me some more talking time.
Then talk more.
Okay, so I want to talk about Terry now.
Okay, I'm almost to Terry. I just have one more point.
Okay, one more, and then we'll move on to Terry.
Rachel Berry says there's nothing ironic about show choir. And I have a big issue with that because I feel like there's so much ironic about show choir. And she says that because Artie says that he feels Will Schuester gave him the lead for Sit Down Rocking the Boat because it's ironic.
Uh-huh.
And it is, and
he
that's
understands
funny
it.
as hell, and Artie's not offended by it, so it's okay.
That's true. If he's okay with it, then it's fine.
Yeah. And he, like, totally gets it. He, like, stands up. He's like, no, Rachel, actually, like, he's doing it because it's ironic. And she says, there's nothing ironic about show choir, and storms out.
I'm still listening.
Is it still recording?
I don't know. Something just flashed on it, so I'm checking. Okay, now we're recording again.
We were having camera difficulties, but...
We're back.
Anyways, we're just talking about...
It stopped right when you said something, so you can just continue with what you were saying. So,
Cool.
Artie thinks it's ironic, and Rachel says there's nothing ironic about show choir.
Exactly.
But there's a lot ironic
There's a lot ironic about show choir. Anyways, that was...
Okay, I want to talk about Terry now.
Yeah.
So, Terry is Will Schuester's wife. They've been married for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They are high school sweethearts. So, they've been together. He's never dated anyone else.
And she was a Cheerio.
Uh-huh.
And he was leader of the Glee Club.
Yes.
The Golden Boy.
Yes. So, and they've never moved out of the town or anything because it's the same high school they went to, and now he's a teacher there. Schuester's super passionate about teaching kids, and he works a lot. He's taking up extra hours doing detention so that he can, like, help the kids in new directions, right?
So, can we talk about the scene where we meet his wife, Terry?
At
Sheets and Things.
At Sheets and Things. That's what I was going to say.
It's like Bed Bath & Beyond.
I would love to talk about Howard because I really like Howard, which is her coworker.
Yeah.
Because I just think he's very sweet, even though he, like, makes a lot of mistakes. He's very sweet.
However, I do have to agree, because, like, Terry, right? Terry's a bitch.
Yeah, she's a Karen.
Obviously. She's a total Karen. She's a bitch. But I kind of a little bit agree with her when she says you can't work at Sheets and Things if you can't fold a fitted sheet. Now hear me out. I don't think she has to be a bitch about it and tell him to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I do think that there should be proper training for these employees to learn how to fold a fitted sheet.
There's only 2 things that I agree with Terry saying in the episode. That, and later in the episode when she tells Will that they're not in high school anymore and he needs to grow up because he's so focused on the high schoolers, which is super creepy. But let's talk more about Terry. So we love how much we hate Terry. I feel like she's a love to hate person.
I
right?
also did a little bit of math here.
Okay, let's hear some math. Oh, the 4 hours a week? 4 hours a day?
So Will comes in and she's like, I can't believe you're working more hours. I'm over here busting my ass and I don't want to have to make dinner when I get off work because I'm working 4 hours a day, 3 times a week. Okay, now let's just say that's 12 hours a week. Now, assuming she's making $15 an hour, and that's being pretty damn generous.
Well, this is 2009.
This is 2009. She's in Ohio. She's probably making a shit ton less.
$6 an hour.
But she also seems to have some supervisor position.
She's the manager.
No, she's not a manager because later in the episode she says, I have a chance to get this promotion to become a manager.
So she's maybe assistant manager?
Yeah, so I'm thinking
supervisor?
I'm thinking some type of like shift supervisor. So if we're like assuming that's
I love you.
15 an hour, she's only getting $180 a week. And I'd also like to say 12 hours a week. I've literally worked a 12-hour workday before. And I'm 19.
I'm sure that
I've worked a 12-hour workday before.
I'm sure Sam
and I was
getting
getting $16.25 an hour during that. I made more in one day than she does in a whole damn week.
Yeah. Well,
and I ain't a grown ass. I am a grown ass woman, but not as grown ass as she is.
So, yes. So during that time when they're in Sheets and Things, Will comes across what's the guy's name? Sandy. Okay, let me do this. So he comes across Sandy, who was the old Glee Club coach, who got fired for potentially molesting a student, right?
He's also a Karen.
He's also a Karen because he's really rude to Howard. No, it's not Howard. It's the other guy.
He's talking to someone, and his name tag probably says his name, and then above it says Sheets and Things. And he's yelling at him, and he goes, Mr. He grabs his name tag and says, Mr. Sheet and Things, because he's so stupid, he doesn't realize
his name.
And then he's talking about thread count for a towel. And I'm like, yeah, sure, maybe there's a thread count on towels, but, like, just fucking feel them, you dumbass.
Okay, you're being very mean.
Did you watch the same episode
Yeah.
I did?
Okay.
He was so mean.
So, what I wanted to talk about with Sandy is that So Sandy he had like anxiety, so he told his doctor he was having anxiety, and they like recommended him to someone who sells medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. So he gets some medical marijuana from the chronic lady, and he says it's very lucrative, and then Will is like, oh my god, you're selling this? Yeah. Like, to who? And then you cut to Sandy, the old Glee Club coach, selling to the football coach, where he's selling Ken weed. And so then he offers Will some weed, and Will's like, I only smoked a little bit in college.
And then he says that him and his wife were trying to get pregnant. So now we know that they're trying to get pregnant.
Yes, but Sandy still slips some weed in this little envelope from the chronic lady into Will's pocket. So now Will has a little bit of weed.
But I'd like to say, with Terry as his wife, I'm surprised he didn't smoke that shit.
I'm also surprised.
The camera went off.
Oh, well, that's fine. We'll just... It said that the temperature is too hot. That's what the thing said. I told you, it's not a very good camera.
Like, I know my hair dye looks good, but I didn't know it looked that good.
So we'll just put the video up, and then the rest will just be the audio with our logo.
Okay, so this is almost like a premium thing. So like, if you want to hear the rest of the episode, you got to tune into the cast.
No, I'm just gonna put our logo on the video and play the rest as audio. So it'll just be available on YouTube also.
They just won't get to see how fly I look.
Yeah, so now we can like lay down.
Slouch. Okay, that's cool.
I'm gonna like get a pillow.
So here we are. Sandy's terrible. He's a weed dealer. Chronic lady. With shoes. I also would like to say Shu spells Shu is abbreviated as SHU.
No, it's SCHUE.
Okay, well, I gave up on that, and I just started writing shoe like a shoe.
Okay.
So that's how I've been writing it, which I think is interesting. So then, after that scene, it shows...
Can we talk about Finn now? Because I want to talk about
Finn.
Well,
I'm almost to Finn. I went, like, super in chronological order, and I wrote notes about, like, every scene. So then it shows Will Schuester running next to the golf cart that Ken is driving, talking about wanting to go and talk to the football players about getting some of them on the team. But he's like, Will is in like full on workout clothes. Like, he's just working out. I've never seen a teacher just work out on the track.
I've never even seen a gym teacher work out with their class.
Yeah, and also here's the thing: he's the fucking Spanish teacher.
I'd love to talk about weird? That. Did you? Okay, so he just can't get a job, I think, is the issue.
Yeah,
and I think it's talked about later. I can't remember, but I feel like he can't get a job as another teacher, and it's like he wanted to be like a music teacher or something, but he's not good enough to do that.
Yeah. And
so I feel like they just do not treat like foreign language teachers with enough respect at that school, and a lot of schools, for example. But yeah. Dang.
I mean, he can speak like fluent Spanish.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean he's a good Spanish teacher.
True. Which I think is forgotten about, that he teaches Spanish.
Okay, and then, so while he's talking with the coach, it bounces back between that scene, Will talking to Emma on the bench when Emma gets gum on her shoe, and he scrapes it off her shoe for her.
And she has a problem with things like that are messy.
Yeah. And then it also bounces in between Will talking with Sue about getting the Cheerios, to talk to the Cheerios about getting some of them on the
New Directions.
And this is all because in those flipping back scenes, Emma says to Will that he should get some popular people on the Glee Club, because once he gets the popular ones, everybody else will follow. So now we're talking about Emma's shoe. He takes the gum off of her shoe and very, very seductively hands it back and says, "Here you go, Cinderella." So
he's so flirty.
He's so flirty with her. No wonder she's like...
She's into him.
And, like, she's getting all these completely mixed signals from him.
No, for sure.
And, yeah, and I wrote, no wonder Emma thinks she has a chance. Which is sad. Anyways.
It's really sad.
So now we're at the scene where Will is in the locker room talking to
my
kids.
turn.
I want to start off with something before you talk about Finn, because this is about Puck.
Okay, you can talk about Puck.
Puck stands up and he says, "Hey, Shu, I can sing." And everybody claps for him as he walks up, which implies that if he were to sing well, they would have been supportive. They were like, yeah, Puck, you go sing your heart's content, my dude. Mm-hmm. Let's cheer for you. And then he lets it rip and he just farts.
Yep.
And then everybody like laughs and claps. Mm-hmm. But like,
they would have been supportive.
They would have been supportive. And we know he has a good voice.
Because, yes.
Later he joins, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a major missed opportunity for him to come out because he was in such a supportive environment. Yeah. And he just really missed.
I think what should have happened is a different football player should have gone up because, I mean, it makes sense because then later he's so reluctant to join the Glee Club. Spoiler, sorry. But I think it should have been like another bully persona because there are other bullies in the show later on, and that would have been a good time to introduce someone who's like super anti-Glee. But also like we see Puck throwing slushies on Rachel, so we know he's like a super jerk ball
for sure.
Okay, so I want to talk about Finn now because okay, so I also just rewatched all of the High School Musical movies, which came out at the beginning of 2000, and I
wrote later Troy Bolton.
Yeah, it's very Troy Bolton, and it's also very like bisexual metaphor because I think like him. It's the same with how I felt about Troy, and the same as how I feel about Finn. It is such a metaphor for bisexuality of like not like wanting to do two different things and trying to be accepted for doing multiple things because he wants to do football and he also wants to do Glee Club, and people are telling him he has to choose one or the other, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do both. And so basically what happens in this scene is Finn is obviously like looking at Mr. Schue and it's like, oh, maybe I will join Glee Club, because we get this little flashback of him and his mom singing with this lawn painter guy.
Yeah, I wrote about that.
He's the like the lawn spray painter.
Emerald Green.
Emerald Green, yeah.
That doesn't come up till
later.
Oh, okay. I wrote Finn looks. Oh no. Oh yeah, when Finn sings with the Emerald Dream guy, that was so pure.
It's so pure because he's like this little kid and he's singing with this guy and he looks so happy and the guy is so nice to him. Yeah, he's like, hey kid, you've got a good voice.
It's this guy who's sleeping with his mom.
Yes, but then later the guy leaves his mom and then you see his mom like super heartbroken over it, and so Finn's like, in that moment I knew that I was going to do anything to like protect my mom. Yeah, so Finn is a sweetheart. We love Finn.
Yeah, but then it shows. After their football practice, it shows Finn in the shower singing.
Yes. And I can't fight this feeling anymore.
Yeah.
And Will hears him sing and walks into the children's locker room. Yeah. And watches this 6-foot child sing a song in the shower. Uh-huh. Which is illegal.
Yes.
And then following with more illegal activity, to get Finn to join the Glee Club, he pretends that he planted the weed from earlier in the episode in Finn's locker and says to him that he's going to go to jail and his football scholarship is going to be taken away.
Yeah, because being in a possession of that much weed is, quote, a felony.
But Finn says, what football scholarship?
Yeah, and it's so sad. So first of all, Schue shows him the thing, and Finn is like, I don't even know who the fuck the chronic lady is. Yes. That should have been a sign for Will to be like, this guy's so stupid, I could have done anything to get him on Glee Club. I didn't have to blackmail him. Yes. And then Finn looks so scared, and he's like, I'll pee in a cup. I'll pee. And then Will Schuester, he's like, You're gonna get kicked off the team. You're gonna lose your football scholarship. And Finn looks so happy, and he's like, I had a football scholarship to where? Yeah, like he didn't because he's a sophomore. He's not supposed to have any scholarships yet.
I know. Well, because Will is just like trying anything.
Yeah, and then I'd like to say,
and he just doesn't know the kid enough. Yeah, because he probably doesn't even know he's a sophomore.
Yeah, and then this is when Will says, that he could land in prison or he says, you could land in prison, son. And then the camera zooms in.
I know, I saw
it. The camera zooms in onto
a flyer
behind Will that says, #1 priority, help the kids. That was like a total Office moment. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really funny.
But maybe he is helping him.
I mean, no, he totally is. Yeah. But he didn't have to do it that way.
No, he literally could have just said, like, hey, like Finn says later in the episode
that he loves Glee.
Well, he says that he tells Puck the reason that he joined was so that he could get enough extra credit to pass Spanish. Will could have totally offered him extra credit for Spanish
and he
to
would
join.
have gotten a better grade too, because he was clearly suffering in his Spanish
because
class.
he talked about it at the beginning of the episode when he sees him near the dumpster.
Because he didn't write his paper about what he did last summer. It was late. So obviously, I'm glad we're on an agreement.
Yes.
Poor Finn.
We love Finn.
Also, he talks about like his dad dying when he was young, and he's just trying to do everything he can to make his mom proud. So like this poor guy.
Also, he has a girlfriend named Quinn Fabray.
Yeah.
Who is so hot, and she is also
president of the Celibacy Club and captain of the Cheerios.
Yes. And she does not like Rachel Berry.
No,
she calls Rachel Berry RuPaul.
I know, I wrote that down. But anyways, so now they're singing You're the One That I Want. I'd like to say that we talked about Rachel pushing Artie into Schuester. I wrote Shu different every single time. She pushes Artie into Shu, but right before then she like caresses Kurt's face.
Oh, Kurt?
Yeah, she like caresses Kurt's face. He's all grossed out. And then she full on grabs Tina's chest. And Tina's like smiling about it. Like watch
grabs her boob?
Yeah, like full on like grabs her boob and then like moves, like slides her hands across and then pushes Artie.
Whoa, I didn't notice that.
And Tina's just standing there like smiling and singing.
Maybe she is.
It's super weird. And then
she gives
so I said
super
that,
like
that's like super
goth
fucked
girl
up.
Lesbian vibes.
Yeah,
to me.
and then here's some tea. I said Mercedes shouldn't have gotten upset. I understand that she was upset, but here's why she shouldn't have gotten upset. Because if Rachel was given a duet, then the chances are that Mercedes would have gotten the solo. And because her voice is the most powerful, she probably would have gotten the solo. And I also said Mercedes claims she is, quote, the Beyonce of the group. And then she would have gotten the solo. And if she claims she's the Beyonce, then she should not have gotten jealous over a duet.
True. But also, Mercedes isn't a Beyonce. Mercedes is a Mercedes. And she is...
True.
Like, I mean, I know it's only the first episode, but dare I say, I think Mercedes has the best voice on the entire cast.
I agree.
I think she has the
full-heartedly
best voice. Followed up by characters who are not on the show yet. But I would like to say my favorite male voice on the show is Artie.
Me too.
And neither of them get enough airtime.
I also would like to bring up this very weird thing, is that Finn and like the actor who played Finn reminds me of so many different people, and I would like to just share 3 of them.
One of them being your ex-boyfriend Brian.
Yes, that's the main one. My ex-boyfriend.
He's got the same exact body as him.
Same exact body, and same kind of like mannerisms,
goofiness,
the facial expressions when he sings looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
But also he also reminds me of Marshall from How I Met Your Mother.
Stop. It's the arms.
And
it's the long arms.
And Mr. Sullivan from Monsters Inc. He reminds me of Sully.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why'd you say Mr. Sullivan
Because
first?
I just watched Monsters University, and that's what they call him.
Yeah, it's the long arms.
I think so, and also kind of the way he stands and the way he smiles.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyways, so
Finn is also really good, though.
He is.
Yeah.
He's really good. I just think I like Artie's voice.
I do like Artie's voice better.
So now we get into the discussion with his wife.
Okay.
So
in the craft room.
Yeah. So
where they're doing a puzzle together.
Will and Terry, are doing a puzzle together. Now I have a big problem with this, and it's one of my discussion points I'd like to say.
Let me explain. So she says that they're doing a puzzle together so he can express himself creatively.
Yeah. But that's
what there. I have the issue with.
I have the issue with that too.
Because puzzles
are not
creative activity.
Outlet. Okay, good. That was my discussion point. I said, is a puzzle a creative outlet? I don't think it is.
It's like a brain puzzle.
It's a brain activity. It's not
it's a brain workout
outlet.
Yes.
Now they're doing this in her craft room, which Will is not allowed into because he says, I'm surprised you let me into your craft room. And they have a Christmas closet, which he's also not allowed to go into. So they're talking, and she's like, you need to make more money. And then Will,
because she wants him to be an accountant.
Yeah. so they can make more money because she had to pick up an extra shift and she's not okay with that. Which only means she'd be working like 16 hours a week, which is still like nothing, you idiot. So then
we really do not like Terry.
I don't like Terry. So then Will says, well, I was looking for my jacket the other day, and he starts to walk towards the Christmas closet, and she exclaims, you're not allowed in the Christmas closet. And he opens it, and it's just full of bags from Pottery Barn. Pottery Barn's expensive as fuck. Like, super, super expensive. I actually wrote earlier, when I tallied how much he made, I said, Schu's super right when he says that they can't afford Pottery Barn. Yeah. Because she's only making $180 a week. They cannot afford
That's
Pottery
like
Barn.
Single Pottery Barn base.
Exactly. And she buys 3 of the toilet brushes. And she's like, they're Belize. I don't even think that they have 3 bathrooms.
They probably don't.
Yeah.
Because they're off a teacher's salary and $180
but they're also in Ohio, so I don't really know what.
Yeah.
It's like there.
I mean,
they have
with that
room for
money,
a craft closet.
I mean, with that money in where we live, that would get you like a 1-bedroom.
It would get you like a 900 square foot studio.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, yeah. So then she exclaimed, she's like, it's not bad to want things. And then she said, it's not bad to want a real life, which I don't really understand what that means. That's like when teachers say, oh, when you're out of high school, it will be real life.
It's like, well, high school is also real life.
Yeah, like if you once you're born, it's real life, you know? So, and then so she says, it's not bad to want a real life and a glue gun that works. I have a big issue with this. So she grabs her glue gun as she's saying this. Keep in mind, they were doing a puzzle.
Yeah, why is her glue gun on?
So either her glue gun is on and she's dumb, or her glue gun was never on and that's why it's not working and she's stupid.
That's very true.
It's just like
maybe they're trying to save their puzzle though. Remember when we used to glue our puzzles onto like a board?
But you don't do it till you're done.
Yeah.
You don't glue.
Maybe she was just
done.
heating it up. They were very close to being done.
They were. I will give them that. But still, I just think that that's very weird.
It is very weird.
So that was a big issue I had. Okay, and then it transitions, and I just want to say the transition sounds. They slap.
They slap hard.
They're good. They're really good.
I really like the transition sounds. And Sydney, except for the one that sounds like bees. Sydney
I
and I
don't
have
like that
said
one either.
that
it
gives me anxiety.
They use that towards the beginning when the old band or the old Glee club guy is talking or is singing with the prodigy that Rachel Berry has an issue with. They use it when they pan over to her. I don't like that sound. It sounds like hornets.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. What do you have next?
I said Ken Coach is super shitty and short-tempered and super creepy with Emma, but Emma is also a bit creepy with Schu.
Yes, we've talked about that already. What do you?
Then there's the scene where Ken approaches Emma when she's trying to get
about
into
the
her
monster
car.
truck. And if he knows anything about her, he would know.
That's what I wrote.
The messiest place would probably be a monster. Like, she would have a full-on panic attack.
She also turns him down very nice at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he says he has tickets to monster trucks, and she says, no thanks, that's not really my thing. That was
totally honest.
Totally honest. But he keeps describing monster trucks, and then she says, to be honest, and she says all the times that she's turned him down and lied about things. She's like, I'm sorry, those were all lies. The truth is, I just don't want to date you.
I'm interested in someone else.
No, she doesn't say that yet. She says, I just don't want to date you. And then he says, how can I get you into the back of my hatchback?
Yes.
And
this is a grown man.
Yeah.
He should have a bed.
True. I don't think that was really where he was going with this.
I know, but the back of the hatchback,
that's creepy.
That's creepy. But also, my thinking is that he was let's a private place to hook up, right? Shouldn't he have his own room to do that in?
Yeah, but it kind of sounded like he wanted to kidnap her.
I didn't hear it that way, but now I get it.
Yeah, it's creepy. And then I just go right into singing and dancing. That's not what I wanted. And then she says that she was into someone else. And I would just like to say that, as someone who's, been hit on and they don't take no for an answer, saying that you're into somebody else or saying that you're with somebody else gets them to stop.
Oh. I mean, Doesn't stop people from sliding into my DMs, but
I mean, yeah, like sliding into DMs I think is different than talking in person.
Yeah.
But like if you're talking with someone and they're like, I want to like go out with you, blah 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 blah, and you're like, no, sorry, like no offense, I'm not really that into you. I just think we're different. And then they keep like trying to get you. You say, no, I'm taken. I'm sorry. And then they leave you alone. I had to do that all the time when I was in London. I like wore a ring on my ring finger and I would pretend to be engaged when I was like on the tube.
Yeah.
Because people would try and follow me home.
Yeah.
So like I kind of get where she's coming from saying that. But also she's totally into Schu. So.
She is. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're getting close to the field trip where they go see.
That's exactly where we're at. Yeah.
Okay. So they're getting to go see Vocal Adrenaline at a different school, Carmel High School, which is going to be their competition, and they're all excited because Will's like, you know what, you guys are gonna do really well. Like, you guys got nothing on them.
We're
like,
just scoping it out.
We're just scoping out the competition. Vocal Adrenaline comes through hard. They're so good. Honestly,
what song do they sing?
Rehab. Honestly, they were like one of my candidates for best song of the episode.
They got my best song.
Really?
They got my best song.
We'll talk about that later because their performance it slaps hard, and their outfits for 2009 killer.
Also, they're incredibly talented
to sing and dance at the same time.
I wrote right here, they were amazing. Vocal Adrenaline was amazing. Dancing and singing requires being in crazy amounts of shape.
Yes.
Like you have to be your lung capacity has
you have to be on like Lizzo level.
Insane. Yeah.
You need
like
Lizzo level.
So Vocal Adrenaline is like Lizzo level. That's some crazy ass shit.
That should be our like new tier. Are you Lizzo level?
Lizzo level.
Because you need to be able to like have like, because she's got like the lungs for like flute, singing, dancing all at the same time.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of practice, which Vocal Adrenaline totally has. Yeah. And so they're now the competition for New Directions. And also Vocal Adrenaline, for a high school, they have like 25 members.
Yeah, no, they have a lot.
And New Directions only has 6 at the time because now they have Finn.
I'd also like to say that Vocal Adrenaline is a way better name than New Directions.
Yes.
New Directions, it's like
the other, there's also another group later in the show because they're from like Illinois and they're the Hoosier Daddies.
That's fucking hilarious. No, but like I don't really like the New Directions. It reminds me
Vocal Adrenaline is a great name.
Vocal Adrenaline's great. It reminds me of that John Mulaney like sketch or bit that he does where he's like, oh, you know, we had like the Math Angels or whatever. And then he's like, all right, what are we going to call you, Group 2? And he's like, you got it right there, Group 2.
Yeah. New Directions are Group 2.
They're Group 2. And that's why are we... I want to watch a show about Vocal Adrenaline. I do not want to watch a show about
Vocal Adrenaline would have so much drama.
Right?
Okay, so...
So then Puck shows up.
Yes.
With his clan.
And he shoots... They gun down Finn with paintball guns.
And
that would hurt so bad.
Yeah, because they're in close proximity to him. And also, there's so many of them. Those guns looked kind of real.
Also,
they're at a high school.
Finn is like so much taller than all of them, and he's just too nice to fight back. That's proof that he just has a heart of gold.
I also think it's weird that like they showed up there. Like, wouldn't they just like beat him up at school the next day?
Yeah.
Like,
but maybe they're close high schools.
Maybe, but like the fact that they showed up there is kind of weird and like shows that they care too much.
But so then following up, Finn drops out of Glee Club.
Yeah, and I wrote a bullet point. I said he's stupid for leaving.
Well, so he leaves Glee Club because, like, I mean, you know, his original friend group is like not going to be friends with him anymore. Yeah. He doesn't have any super close connections in Glee Club. And Will Schuester is going to be leaving the school because he finds out that his wife is pregnant.
Oh, yeah. I wrote Schu is stupid for leaving, not Finn is stupid for leaving.
So Schu finds out that his wife is pregnant, and so he puts in his 2 weeks notice. And
that's why Finn leaves.
Finn leaves Glee Club because he's like, well, my friends are going to hate me, and now I'm not going to
He's not getting blackmailed anymore.
He's not getting blackmailed because Schu is leaving. So he's like, I'm leaving Glee. So then his friends on the football team are like, good job for leaving Glee. Like, that was stupid. We have a surprise for you. And in a porta potty next to the bleachers by the football field, they have Artie locked up, which is a hate crime, would like to remind you. And so this is another, like, Finn's like, I'm going to do both. Like, you guys are assholes,
I also was like, how did they... First of all, why does the high school have so many porta potties underneath the bleachers? That's really weird. And also, how did no one see, hear, or stop it?
Yeah.
So, and then I said, when Finn stands up to the football players... I said, that was badass. Troy Bolton over here doing both.
Yes, exactly. Troy Bolton, bisexuality.
Yeah.
Before.
I want to jump back though because we missed something.
You missed something important.
Will Schuester sings like a going away song. He's like, I'm gonna hop on a jet plane and fly away.
That's my worst.
That's my worst. That's the bottom tier right there. And while he's singing this, it shows Emma sitting at a table, doodling in her yearbook,
drawing a heart around Will
Schu.
Schuester. Who's getting Teacher of the Year? Will Schuster's getting Teacher of the Year award in that photo.
Yeah. So, but I have some issues with this. First of all, one, if she was really such a germaphobe, she would not have been able to sit at those tables.
Well, she cleans it down before, remember?
Well, first of all, they don't show her doing that.
Not in this scene, but they do show it in other scenes. So you have to imagine she does it all the time.
But still, those tables are, like, the worst. Like, I don't even like sitting at those tables.
Yeah.
And then,
let's not say germaphobe, though. Let's just go back to OCD, though.
Okay. Her having OCD.
Yeah.
I think that it would have been very difficult for her to sit at those tables if she had OCD. And then, so it just kind of seemed like a discrepancy to me.
Yeah.
Then they show her drawing in the yearbook. Now, this is just, like, after school, because it doesn't show anybody else there.
Yeah.
So, I think it's weird that she's, like, carrying around a yearbook.
Well,
or, like, is this the one she keeps, like, in her office?
Or is it, like, the school's copy of the yearbook?
Yeah, or is it the school's copy? Or is it last year's? Or is it that current year's?
Also, is it after school? Because there are other teachers in the room, because that's when she overhears them say that.
No, that's in a different scene.
That's in a different
She's
scene.
sitting outside at picnic tables.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, doodling.
Sorry, I watched it last night.
That's okay. I, like, watched it right before we filmed this.
I know.
So, yeah, so I felt like that was kind of
I really want to talk about the Artie
very,
Finn
like,
scene when you're done.
childish of her. And then they're Emma comes up to Will in the teacher's lounge after she hears that he's having a baby. And he's filling out his application for the accounting firm. Mm-hmm. And he looks at Emma and he goes, "Isn't accounting sexy?" And then
flirtatious.
And then right after, he drops his smile and he says, "I'll miss you." Like, immediately after. That was really weird.
That's, like, predatory.
Yeah, but then Emma's like, "I'm setting up a meeting for you with the guiding counselor because, like..."
She is also the guidance counselor,
she's the guidance
for those
counselor.
who don't know.
Yeah. And she's like, "Because, like, you need some direction."
Yeah.
And then it shows the scene of Finn and Artie in the
I want to talk about the Finn and Artie thing. So Artie's like, "Thank you" to Finn, and he starts pushing Artie away in his wheelchair, and they're going out onto the lawn. And I think this is a hallucination because
I wrote that too.
It's a hallucination. So Finn starts hallucinating or, like, daydreaming of the emerald green grass painter singing the song "Don't Stop Believing," painting the grass of the football field. Yeah. And then Finn gets this bright idea that they're going to sing "Don't Stop Believing" as a Glee club, right? And so he's kind of taken charge a little bit because Schu is left, and so he knows that he needs to, like, take charge for the team. And so they, like, get all together.
Well, so originally Rachel Berry had taken charge, and before Finn goes out to see Artie, she finds him at his locker, and Rachel says, like, "Oh, like, you weren't at rehearsals. I've decided to take over." And when she says, like, "I've decided to take over," Finn gets a smile on his face. He's like, "Oh, Glee Club's not over." Like, he smiles. And she says, "Yeah, Quinn calls Rachel, you have real talent. Like, you should be there. I don't want you just giving it up because of what people think about you." Yeah. And then his girlfriend Quinn shows up, and she's like, "Finn, RuPaul," which is, like, first of all, that's something that they got away with saying on the show that they should not have gotten away with. And then she lies. She's like, "Oh, we're science partners, blah, blah, blah." And then, so Rachel says she's taking over. But then after Finn saves Artie, he wheels him into the auditorium where they're having practice.
Okay, my turn. We need to talk about Finn's sweater, or not Finn, Kurt's sweater skirt for a second.
I did not notice it in the 3 times I watched it.
You didn't? It like has plagued my brain. So it is this blue knit sweater that starts right under the nipple and goes, like, mid calf or, like, mid thigh, and it's a sweater. But he's wearing a regular shirt and regular pants on, and I just feel like that is way too toasty.
Maybe.
And also, you know, I mean, it's 2009. He was like a fashion icon.
Yeah.
Also, episode 2 goes a lot more into Kurt.
Yeah.
So we get a little more Kurt then. Okay, but let me talk about, like, this scene. So, Finn, like, this got me good. Like, I kind of, like, fell for Finn a little bit in this moment. Because he starts delegating. He's like, Mercedes, like,
it's hot.
It is. He's like, you're on costumes. Like, Artie, you're on music. Also, I'd love to say, Artie playing the guitar is probably the hottest thing this entire episode.
Yeah.
Artie playing the guitar is the hottest scene in the entire episode.
Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm glad we're on the same page. And so he's like delegating, and then he's like, they're like, well, what are you gonna do? And he's like, me? I've got the music.
Yeah.
And so then they start practicing and everything.
I was a little bit upset when he's like, Tina, what are you good at? And then she didn't say anything. He's like, we'll figure it out. Like, it was like sweet.
Yeah, but
like,
he didn't give her enough time.
Yeah. Like, she has a stutter. Give her some more time.
Yeah, but I think it's part of their comedic, like, showing that she has a stutter and is shy, right?
So let me.
What do you have next?
So then, I said it's interesting how Rachel's portrayed as a leader when clearly Finn is.
Yeah, well, Rachel just wants to be the leader.
Yeah, but Finn is clearly the leader of all.
Yes.
Of them. I also would like to say that earlier. Oh no, I'll get back to that. This is where I liked what Emma said. She's doing her guidance counseling meeting with Will.
Yes.
And
I love this part a lot too.
She plays for him.
Let me see if I can get the camera to work while you do this.
Okay. She plays for him an old video of when Shu himself was in Glee Club.
Emma is a really good guidance counselor.
She is. She's a really good guidance counselor. I think if she wasn't so head over heels for Will, that she would have a lot more potential as being one of my favorite characters on the show. But anyways, she is talking to Will. She plays the video for him of when Will was in Glee Club, and they're at their nationals or something. Mm-hmm. And he says
regionals, because they never got to nationals.
Right, regionals. Sorry. And he says, I knew that we were gonna win before we were halfway through
the
number. And like, as someone who comes from a performance background, I know what that feels like.
Yeah. And
that feels incredible. Like, I almost like teared up at that moment.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised when he still like said no.
Yeah. He
was like, no, I can't do this. I have to become an accountant because I need to make money for my family. Mm-hmm. In which Emma responds with saying, or he says, I need to provide for my family. And this is what Emma says. She says, providing what exactly? That was really disgusting. You did not need to join in with me saying that.
I'm sorry. I just really liked that line.
She says, providing what exactly? Money, or the idea that the only life worth living is one that you're really passionate about?
True. Snaps for Emma.
Like, I have goosebumps just from me reading that. That's really powerful.
I loved this scene. I only have one critique of it.
What?
The song. I actually have two critiques. The song that they had them sing, bad.
Yeah.
Second,
what song was that?
It's a 90s song. It's like a very stereotypical 90s song.
But it's like very, very sexualized.
Yes. Number 2, we didn't get to see the clip.
No, we didn't.
And those are my two critiques, because I would have loved a better 90s song. There's so many 90s jams that they did not use.
I would have loved to see like another kind of like number, because the only like real true numbers that we get are Don't Stop Believing at the end, Vocal Adrenaline's Rehab,
and Rockin' the Boat.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a lot to choose from. But we also had Jet Plane. Will's Jet Plane.
That doesn't count because that's just not a performance.
But those are my critiques for that scene. But it was a really good scene. Following that scene, Will starting to leave the school, because we know he's put in his notice, so he doesn't have very much time left. And he starts to hear music coming from the auditorium. So
then it shows the New Directions singing Don't Stop Believing. I have a few things to note. First of all, this was like my favorite song.
Me too.
When this came out. It's a banger. Charley showed me a TikTok the other day of this guy, and he was like, oh, like when you're in 7th grade and you're on the bus trying to like calm down from a stressful day, and that shows this guy going on his iPod and playing Don't Stop Believing.
This song it sets up the entire series.
The entire series is based off of this one song. They kill it. It's my second song. It's my
best of the episode.
It's good.
It gave me goosebumps. I actually teared up a little because I was so excited about rewatching it, because they have so many references to this exact performance throughout the entire thing. Like, also the costumes Mercedes did, it's like, so
I wrote that.
Like,
I said it was fascinating.
Chucks, they all have black Converse on. They all are wearing jeans, and they all have their own style of wearing the red, right?
But it's all the same shade of red. I wrote,
they all have
I'm
the exact
amazed
same shade.
that they were all able to wear the same shade of red when not even Target employees can do that. No Target employee ever wears the same shade of red. They're always trying to be cute. They wear like maroon or something.
That's so true. Okay,
So
I love this performance, and I would like, okay, this is the point in which I teared up. Finn playing the drums.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the episode, you see him playing the drums when his mom is on the phone, and he has to stop. And then you see him playing the drums, and you're like, he's killing it. He actually comes from a music background.
Yeah.
And then you see Artie playing the guitar, you totally swoon. You like rethink all of your life choices and relationships.
Yeah. I have to say Rachel Berry should have stepped it up with choreography because she was in charge of it. I would like to say the choreography was not intense, but they had it down. And I was very impressed because we know that they kind of came together right around the day they figured out Shu was putting in his 2 weeks. So we'll say give them like -2 days to get themselves together for that.
2 days to come up with a whole performance?
No.
2 weeks.
It's about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So they have like essentially 10 days to put this all together. But Finn's still doing football, and he was like in charge of all of them. So like the fact that
they all have
that
other
they pulled it
extracurriculars
off,
and stuff.
Yeah, the fact that they pulled that off with only about 2 weeks was incredible because they also had lighting. They had their choreography, they had the costumes, and they had the jazz band. To sync with the jazz band that well after less than 2 weeks.
I mean, I would like to say jazz choir pulled together a whole performance for my high school girlfriend for asking me to prom in like 30 minutes. They came up with a whole routine.
But they did not have lighting that they had to sing with. They did not have choreography that they had to sing with.
Like, coming up with
jazz band got their shit down. Yeah. But as someone who was on a dance team, it took more than 6 months. Like we had 6 months to work on these dances, and by the time we had to perform them, like, we could barely remember the fucking choreography. Yeah. And we had 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm just really impressed. I also would like to say that when Shu tells them that he's putting in his 2 weeks, Rachel Berry says, we can't do this without them.
They obviously
can. They obviously can do it without them. Without him. And this is my last bullet point.
Okay.
Will decides to join back, and he says, it would kill me to see you guys win at sectionals without me. So 1, it proves that he thinks that they can do it without him. 2, I think he only goes back because he has FOMO. I think he just has fear of missing out because, like his wife said,
he just wants to still be a high schooler.
He just wants to be a high schooler.
I mean, we see him later in the series doing performances with them. He just wants to relive his high school days. For sure he does.
Yeah. So that's the whole episode.
Yes.
The episode's 48 minutes long, and we've spent over an hour talking about it.
I think next time, we need to cut down on your notes a little bit.
I don't think so. I think that's what's going to make this podcast so good.
Let's talk about our best and worst. We already talked about it a little bit, so I'll go first. My worst song is Jet Plane by Mr. Shu.
Yeah, that was my worst.
It's a little boring. He doesn't have an awesome voice either. His voice is like mediocre.
It's okay,
but it's nothing like spectacular. Like,
and it's like super like expected. Like, of course, the guy that's leaving, that's like the star of the show, is gonna sing a sad song.
My top 2 songs. My top song is "Don't Stop Believing," obviously, because like I said, it like sets up the entire show. But like my next choice for top song was Vocal Adrenaline's "Rehab," because that would have been my favorite if "Don't Stop Believing," because just in terms of quality, Rehab is better. Yeah. Don't Stop Believing, though, has, like, more, like, emotional context. Yeah. So that's why I picked it, because, like...
That's fair.
They go back to that song, like, when they do their mashups for sectionals and regionals and everything, and nationals, they throw that song in there. And so it has, like, an emotional attachment for me.
I will agree with you in that respect for it, but I was just going by overall quality.
Oh, okay.
Because I think
that's fine.
It's kind of important to also note that, like... Even though New Directions is the star of the show, they're not the best.
No, they aren't. But I still think that performance is my favorite.
1, and then Don't Stop Believing was my second. My third was Rockin' the Boat, because I do think show choir is ironic.
Yes.
And then You're the One That I Want, I put second to last, with last being Schu's power ballad of the jet plane.
Do you want to grab our board?
Sure.
We can just like hold it maybe instead.
Yeah.
So I have this board with, this is our Dance Moms board. So I was thinking I do mine and you can tell me if you want to move someone because we need to decide on one together.
Let's read the list of who's all going to be going on our board.
We have
now.
Number 1 top tier. We have 2 spots for second tier and 3 spots for the third tier.
We are ranking our
New Directions members.
Just members of the Glee Club.
We have Kurt Hummel. We have Artie Abrams, Tina Cohen-Chang, Finn Hudson, Rachel Berry. I did not have a star sticker, so I used one of a chicken.
Which is really frustrating because it doesn't make any sense.
It's yellow, and from a distance, it'll read as a star.
I don't think...
And then we have Mercedes Jones.
I just don't think a chicken...
I think we should start... We have to start from the last place and move our way up.
Yeah.
So, I'm really sorry, but I think Tina needs to be...
Tina's last, obviously.
Tina needs to be in last place. She just didn't show herself enough yet. And I think, like... I mean, she has room to grow, obviously, but she just isn't there.
Yeah. I think Kurt is next.
I was going to put Kurt next because I really hate Mr. Cellophane, to be honest.
I hated Mr. Cellophane. It didn't do him any justice.
So
he should have known better.
You know what? We're missing, because I took Will out, so we have an extra spot. So we can do 2, 2, and 1.
Okay.
Wait, no. I'm a liar.
Yeah.
Forget everything I said.
So, yeah, I believe Kurt deserves second to last.
Yeah.
He also, I thought it was great that when they were singing and Mercedes kind of threw a fit, he said, actually, this is the first time we're sounding good. I think you should just calm the fuck down. And that's why Mercedes is my next.
No, Mercedes is higher for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you think is next?
I was going to put Finn next.
No, Finn's at the top, baby. He
Finn's
gets
at the
them
top?
back together.
Oh, well, no, this is just on how they perform.
Oh.
Because that's how Dance Moms does it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just on the performance.
Oh, okay. Okay, then that's fair.
So Finn is next because he's good, but he's not practiced yet. Like, he still has, like, he needs to work on his vocals and everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Finn is next. And then...
He has a lot of potential.
Yes. Next is Artie.
Yeah.
Because he's got a killer voice. He's amazing on the guitar.
Yeah, he's got musical talent.
And for his choreography, he's able to adapt his choreography really well. But he's not, like... show like diva material yet.
Yeah.
Like he's not like top tier. Next I have is Rachel.
I would put Mercedes next.
You would? See, I'd put Mercedes at the top because I think her voice is more...
Think about the way they do it on Dance Moms. Rachel Berry would get the top.
She would get the top.
She's the...
But so on Dance Moms, they would put like the two who are both equally good. They'd put one person at the top and the one who is more competitive below them because then they'll want to get better.
Oh, interesting.
So they put like 2 people who are equally good. Like Mercedes is really good. Not saying that Mercedes and Rachel are necessarily equal, but Mercedes is really good. She knows she's good. Rachel also knows she's good, but she's insecure about it.
Yeah.
So she's going to try to get that spot by working even harder.
Interesting. This is not how I would have done it at all. Next episode, I would like to be
why
in
don't
charge
you do yours
placements.
now?
Okay. So the way I would do it... This is going to read terribly.
Yeah.
For the podcast.
Sorry for our Velcro noises.
So, the way I would do this is completely different because I didn't think about doing it just as performance. I thought about doing it as characters and, like, how good they are just in general.
I thought because we were only doing New Directions members, we were only basing it on their performance.
That makes sense, but I also think there's a bit more to performance...
Yeah.
Being more to the Glee Club than just performance.
I still would have Mercedes at the top for me.
I agree with Tina being last.
Yeah. She just we haven't seen her enough to give her a good enough.
And I agree with Kurt being here. And then I would put Mercedes down here. I get Mercedes has a great voice. And like I said earlier, I think she's the best voice there
on the show.
But she was throwing a fit.
Yeah.
She
had drama,
her
diva moments.
Yeah, and that's what bumped her down for me because she didn't really feel like a team player.
I gotcha. I see ya.
Yeah. Okay. Artie.
We love Artie.
We love him. I already explained why he was in that place. I agreed with you. And then I'm going to put Rachel here.
Okay. And Finn's at the top.
Finn's at the top.
Is it because he reminds you of your ex-boyfriend?
No, because there's a reason I'm not with my ex-boyfriend. I put him there because he really brought everybody back together. Yeah. And even though Rachel was the one that took over, and that's kind of why I put her here, because she showed that she really wanted this to happen for everybody.
Finn actually made it happen.
Finn was the one that really made it happen and kind of gave her like a chill pill. Yeah. To make it all cohesive.
That makes sense.
He's like the xanthan gum holding the salad dressing together.
I see.
So.
Well, this is our Sydney's rating.
And then let's go over, before we end this, let's go over our Will Schuester moments that should have gotten him
fired. Why don't you start a tally for us?
All right.
So we're going to...
Okay, well, this happens every single time I use this fucking pen that Charley has.
I have this pen that I love because it writes so beautifully, but the cap always falls off, and it just flew off into Sydney's water glass.
Yeah, so we're just going to leave it in there while I write, even though I can't fucking click it now.
Okay,
One sec.
So,
for our audio listeners, I just chugged my water so I could get the cap to click the pen.
Amazing.
Okay.
I'm going to glue that today. I'll glue that for you.
Good. Okay, so Will Schuester moments.
So these are all the moments where we think that Will should have been fired.
And we should go in chronological order.
Okay, so...
The first, not standing up for Kurt's bullies.
True. The second... I don't know if this is chronological or not.
That's okay.
But, I was going to say, seeing Finn in the shower.
Yeah.
And then the second was going to be blackmailing Finn.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my next one is sexual harassment with the way that he talks to Emma in the office.
Yeah.
Because that's considered sexual harassment in workplace. I think that's it.
I think that's it for this episode. Although 4 reasons why you should get fired in one episode, which the time span seems to be about 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's pretty high.
That's definitely a red flag for our Will Schuester here.
I think that's everything we wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you want to say? I think it's a really good first episode.
I think it's also a really good first episode.
Even though we had a lot of critiques on it.
I think that's the way it should be, because nobody wants to hear us just like talk about like really like vague plot
What's your
stuff.
favorite thing that happened during the episode? I've got a couple. So my top moments of the episode is obviously Artie playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Just seeing more of like, I love hearing about Finn and like seeing him play the drums when he's little and then seeing him play them when he's older. I love that. I think the moments of him and Rachel talking are so funny because she's obviously super into him, and I think he's just such a sweetheart. So I think that those conversations are just cute and funny.
I really liked those too.
I feel like it sounds like a high schooler's talking.
Yeah.
Even though they're like 24.
Yeah. But it also seemed like as if he kind of like enjoyed it because his girlfriend didn't talk to him that way.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of sweet because you really got that feeling, especially when Quinn came up to talk to them.
Yeah. Quinn is obviously there as more of like a popularity standing, I feel like. Because they feel like they're expected to date each other. Yeah. So those are some of my top moments.
My favorite moment was when he stood up to the football team.
Yeah, that's another one.
When Finn
my
stood
favorites,
up to the football team. And when he saw the mirage of the emerald green.
Yeah, that was really good too.
Lawn. I really enjoyed that. But yeah,
those
that's
are
kind
my
of
favorites.
it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think
I'm
good.
so excited for the next one because I really wanted to watch the second one right after.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to probably watch it soon. We're hoping to do 1 episode per week if things go according to plan.
Yeah.
Can you want to tell everyone where our podcast is available if they're listening, if they're watching the video?
It might take a bit for it to kind of get all like up and going because it has to get approved by everybody first, but it's going to be on Spotify, iTunes podcasts, your Apple podcast app is the same as iTunes, blah blah blah, and Google Play as well. So we should have it up on those 3 platforms. We're also going to be posting it to YouTube.
Yeah, so
if you're listening to the podcast,
if you're watching it right now on YouTube, we'll probably have the video version up first, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll post the videos. And I think that's it.
So that's what
you
you missed on Glee.